My friends and fellow travelers on this great journey of life, if you have ever looked out at the vast ocean of humanity and wondered why a select few rise to the peaks of greatness while the multitudes remain stuck in the valleys of struggle, you have touched upon the most profound question of our existence. You see them, the captains of industry, the master artists, the revolutionary thinkers, and you ask yourself what separates them from the rest of us. Is it a divine gift of genius? Is it the fickle hand of luck? Is it the privilege of birth? I have spent a lifetime analyzing the lives of over 25,000 men and women, sitting knee to knee with the most powerful figures of the modern age, from Andrew Carnegie to Henry Ford, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that the secret does not lie in what they were given, but in what they demanded of themselves. The answer lies in one word, a word that makes the weak tremble but makes the masters rejoice. That word is discipline. Discipline is the hidden force that separates success from struggle. It is the invisible bridge that connects the island of your thoughts to the mainland of your accomplishments. Without this bridge, your dreams are merely ghosts, haunting your mind with the potential of what could have been. Discipline is the only thing in the universe that you have complete and absolute control over. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control the weather. You cannot control the opinions of others. But you can control your own mind. You can control your own actions. And in that control lies the seed of every fortune and every great achievement known to man. It is the force that pushes you to act when the initial fire of motivation fades into the cold ash of routine. It is the voice that wakes you before the sun rises, while the rest of the world is sleeping in the comfort of mediocrity. It is the iron hand that keeps you focused on your definite chief aim when the distractions of the world are screaming for your attention. We must correct a dangerous misconception that has infected the minds of the masses. Most people view discipline as a punishment. They view it as a prison cell that restricts their freedom and denies them the pleasures of life. This is the perspective of the child, not the master. I tell you today that self-discipline is the highest form of freedom known to the human soul. The man who cannot command himself is a slave. He is a slave to his appetites, a slave to his sudden emotions, a slave to the fear of criticism, and a slave to the hypnotic rhythm of his environment. He thinks he is free because he does what he feels like doing, but he is merely a puppet danced by the strings of his biological impulses. But the disciplined man is free. He is the king of his own mental territory. He decides what he will do, and then he does it. There is no gap between his intention and his action. He commands his body, and it obeys. He commands his emotions, and they settle. He commands his destiny, and it bends to his will. Throughout my extensive research into the lives of the most successful figures of the 20th century, I discovered that at the core of their stories lay this immutable truth of unwavering discipline. These men were not superhumans. They bled like you bleed. They feared like you fear. They faced days of darkness where hope seemed lost. But they possessed a mental toughness, a hidden edge that allowed them to override their human weaknesses. This hidden edge is the master key to your potential. It turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. It transforms the carbon of raw talent into the diamond of genius. Consider the life of Henry Ford. When we think of Mr. Ford today, we think of an industrial titan, a man who put the world on wheels. But we forget the years of struggle. When he first envisioned his revolutionary horseless carriage, he did not step into a world that was ready for him. He stepped into a world of skepticism. He was surrounded by people who told him he was crazy. His vision was deemed impractical, even foolish. His own friends whispered behind his back. The experts of the day laughed at the idea of an internal combustion engine replacing the horse. Can you imagine the psychological weight of that opposition? Can you imagine the temptation to give up and return to the safety of a normal job? A man without discipline would have crumbled under that pressure. He would have sought the comfort of conformity. But Henry Ford possessed a discipline that served as his guiding star in the darkest of nights. Each morning, he awoke with a clear, unwavering purpose. He did not allow the noise of the critics to enter the sanctuary of his mind. He disciplined his ears to hear only what served his goal. He disciplined his eyes to see only the finished product, not the failures of the prototype. He utilized discipline to transmute the negative energy of ridicule into the positive fuel of determination. When his engineers told him that the V8 engine was impossible to cast in a single block, he did not accept their expert opinion. He told them to stay on the job until they succeeded, no matter how much time was required. 6 months passed, and they had nothing. Another 6 months passed, and still nothing. But Ford stood firm. He was disciplined in his belief. And eventually, the secret was discovered. The impossible became reality. Mr. Ford's disciplined adherence to his vision transformed ridicule into awe, doubt into respect, and mockery into marvels. The world, which was skeptical and reluctant at first, ultimately stood amazed at the results of his disciplined persistence. This is the power of the invisible force. It bends reality to the will of the one who refuses to break. Similarly, Thomas Edison stands as a monumental testament to the power of discipline. Mr. Edison is often called a genius, but he was the first to correct this assumption. He famously said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Think deeply about what that means. It means that the initial idea, the flash of brilliance, is the easy part. It is the cheap part. The value lies in the 99%, the grueling, repetitive, unglamorous work of bringing that idea into the physical world. Mr. Edison demonstrated this principle throughout his career, but never more poignantly than in his quest to develop the incandescent light bulb. He faced failure after failure. He tested over 10,000 different materials for the filament. Imagine the discipline required to fail 10,000 times and still wake up the next morning with enthusiasm. Most people quit after one failure. They say, "I tried, and it didn't work." The disciplined mind says, "I have found a way that does not work, which brings me one step closer to the way that does." It was not sheer talent or a burst of fleeting inspiration that kept Mr. Edison going. It was discipline. It was the unyielding commitment to his vision. He had to discipline his emotions to not feel defeated. He had to discipline his body to work 18 hours a day. He had to discipline his mind to stay creative when the logic of the world said it was impossible. After thousands of unsuccessful attempts, Mr. Edison remained disciplined, methodically refining his approach until he illuminated not only a bulb, but the entire world. Discipline is the great equalizer. This is the good news I bring to you. You may not have the IQ of Einstein. You may not have the capital of Rockefeller. You may not have the education of a professor. But if you have discipline, you can surpass them all. Talent without discipline is like an octopus on roller skates. There is plenty of movement, but you never know which direction it is going to go. We all know people who are incredibly talented, but whose lives are a series of unfinished projects and wasted potential. They are the hares in the race of life, sprinting and stopping, distracted by their own brilliance. But the disciplined man is the tortoise. He moves with a steady, rhythmic, unstoppable cadence. He does not stop for applause. He does not stop for criticism. He just keeps moving, and in the end he wins the race. Discipline provides you with the power to act decisively, particularly when motivation falters or emotions waver. We live in a culture that is obsessed with feeling like it. We wait to feel inspired. We wait to feel energetic. We wait to feel confident. But feelings are fickle. They change with the wind. They change with what you ate for breakfast. If you build your life on the foundation of your feelings, you are building on sand. The disciplined man builds on the rock of decision. He disconnects his action from his feeling. He does what is required because he said he would. This is the secret of self-trust. Every time you make a promise to yourself and break it because you didn't feel like it, you weaken your own character. You teach your subconscious mind that your word means nothing. But every time you force yourself to act despite your feelings, you are forging a will of steel. You are telling the universe that you are a force to be reckoned with. Real triumph, genuine lasting achievement, is cultivated in those critical moments when motivation dwindles and desire weakens. It is easy to work when the sun is shining and the band is playing. But who are you when the lights go out? Who are you when the bank account is empty? Who are you when nobody believes in you? That is when discipline steps in. It is the invisible companion that carries you forward even when your energy and enthusiasm have dimmed. It whispers to you, just one more step, just one more day. And that one more step is usually the step that crosses the threshold from failure to success. Understand clearly that discipline does not suppress you. It empowers you. It provides structure, a clear pathway toward your most cherished goals and aspirations. Think of a river. Without the discipline of the riverbanks, the water would spread out over the land and become a stagnant swamp. It would lose its power. It would breed disease. But with the discipline of the banks, the water is focused. It becomes a rushing current that can turn turbines, generate electricity, and carve canyons through stone. Your energy is the water. Discipline is the riverbank. Without it, you are a swamp of wasted potential. With it, you are a force of nature. You might ask, how can I cultivate this invisible force? Is it reserved for the chosen few? No. Discipline is a muscle. It can be developed by anyone at any age, in any circumstance. But like any muscle, it must be exercised to grow. It begins with the mind. You must understand that every thought you think is a seed. If you allow your mind to run wild, to dwell on fear, gossip, and negativity, you are planting weeds. Discipline begins with standing guard at the door of your mind. It begins with the refusal to entertain thoughts that do not serve your definite major purpose. This is the hardest work you will ever do, which is why so few people do it. Begin by clearly defining your purpose and your goals. You cannot be disciplined if you do not know what you are aiming for. A man with a why can bear almost any how. If your goal is vague, your discipline will be weak. But if your goal is a burning desire, an obsession that wakes you up at night, discipline will follow naturally. Visualize your desired outcomes vividly. See yourself as the person you want to be. When you see that image clearly, you will naturally want to do the things that that person would do. Discipline also requires that you embrace the concept of delayed gratification. We live in a world of instant answers, instant food, and instant pleasure. This environment destroys discipline. You must train yourself to love the wait. You must train yourself to see the value in the long game. The farmer does not plant a seed and dig it up every 10 minutes to see if it is growing. He has the discipline to water it, weed it, and wait. He trusts the law of nature. You must trust the law of success. The work you do today may not show results tomorrow, or next week, or even next month. But if you remain disciplined, the harvest is inevitable. Nature never cheats us. She keeps a strict account of our efforts, and she pays us in full, with compound interest, if we do not quit. Furthermore, discipline is the antidote to the great disease of mankind, procrastination. Procrastination is the habit of waiting for a better time. It is the arrogance of believing that the future is guaranteed. Discipline tells you that the time is now. It forces you to take action on your ideas before they grow cold. Ideas are like fresh fruit. They do not keep well. If you do not act on them with discipline, they rot. The graveyards are full of people who had great ideas but lacked the discipline to execute them. Do not let your dreams die with you. It is also essential to recognize that discipline thrives in an environment of clarity and precision. Ambiguous goals or unclear intentions weaken discipline. Be explicit about your objectives. Clearly delineate what success looks like and what steps are necessary to achieve it. When you know exactly what you need to do today, it is harder to make excuses. When your day is planned, there is no room for drifting. The drifter is the man who wakes up and asks, "What should I do today?" The disciplined man went to sleep, knowing exactly what he would do. Ultimately, discipline is a personal choice. It cannot be imposed upon you externally. Your boss cannot make you disciplined. Your spouse cannot make you disciplined. It must come from within. It must be a decree from the sovereign ruler of your own soul. You must decide to embrace discipline consciously. Doing so marks the beginning of a transformative journey. It is a journey from the passenger seat to the driver's seat. As we move forward into the deeper lessons of this philosophy, remember this. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. You will suffer one of these two pains. There is no third option. Choose the pain of discipline. Choose the early mornings. Choose the extra mile. Choose the study over the entertainment. Choose the investment over the spending. Choose the hard path. For on the hard path you will find no traffic jams. You will find the open road to greatness. Embrace discipline wholeheartedly, and you will find yourself empowered to overcome challenges, transcend limitations, and realize achievements once deemed impossible. Let discipline be your guiding light, your constant companion, and your greatest ally. For with discipline, dreams cease to be mere wishes. They become tangible, attainable realities within your grasp. You have the potential of a Ford, an Edison, a Carnegie within you right now. It is sleeping. It is waiting for the command. Discipline is the voice that wakes the giant. Wake him up. And let us begin the work of building your legacy. We have established that discipline is the invisible force, the master key that unlocks the door to potential. But a key is useless if you do not know which door you are trying to open. A force, no matter how powerful, is destructive if it is not directed. Imagine a ship with the most powerful engines ever built, fueled by the limitless energy of the atom. The crew is disciplined, the machinery is perfect, and the potential for speed is infinite. But if that ship has no rudder, and the captain has no chart, no compass, and no destination, that power becomes a liability. The ship will merely travel in circles, burning its fuel until it is exhausted, or worse, it will crash into the rocks of reality with devastating force. This is the tragic state of the majority of humanity. They have the energy, they have the intelligence, they even have the desire to do well. But they lack the architecture of belief. They lack the fundamental clarity of a definite chief aim. Discipline without direction is merely drudgery. It is suffering without a cause, and the human soul cannot endure suffering without meaning. This is why so many of you start a new regimen, a new diet, or a new business with great enthusiasm, only to quit when the initial excitement fades. You are trying to use willpower to push a car that has no steering wheel. You are fighting against the natural law of economy, which dictates that energy must be conserved unless there is a compelling reason to expend it. To cultivate the kind of discipline that lasts a lifetime, the kind of discipline that built empires and changed history, you must first become an architect. You must draw the blueprints of your destiny with absolute precision. Throughout my years of analyzing the minds and habits of those who achieved extraordinary success, I have found that disciplined achievers consistently set precise, clearly defined goals. They do not wish, they decide. A wish is a vague, shapeless vapor that floats in the mind. A goal is a concrete structure, built with the bricks of decision and the mortar of faith. The drifter says, "I want to be rich." The master says, "I will accumulate $10 million by the 1st of January, 5 years from now, and I will earn it by providing this specific service to this specific number of people." Do you see the difference? One is a passive hope, the other is an active command to the universe. Let us look at the inspiring story of the Wright brothers, Wilbur and Orville. These men are the patron saints of clarity. They were not scientists with government grants. They were bicycle mechanics from Ohio. They lived in a world where the idea of a machine heavier than air taking flight was considered not just impossible, but a violation of the laws of nature. The most learned men of their time, professors of mathematics and physics, had written papers proving that human flight was a fantasy. If the Wright brothers had listened to the world, they would have stayed in their bicycle shop. But they possessed a vision that was more real to them than the gravity holding them down. They did not just want to fly, they had a definite chief aim to conquer the skies. Their discipline was not a vague attempt to work hard. It was a focused, fanatical pursuit of a specific outcome. They visualized the machine. They saw it in their minds before they ever bent a piece of metal. They knew exactly what they wanted to achieve. They meticulously outlined their objectives, from building lighter and more aerodynamic wings to mastering the delicate mechanics of the internal combustion engine. Because their goal was clear, their discipline had a channel through which to flow. Every morning, when they woke up, they did not have to ask themselves what to do. The goal dictated the action. The goal demanded the discipline. When they faced the biting winds of Kitty Hawk, when they crashed and broke their ribs, when the world mocked them as lunatics, they did not quit. Why? Because a man with a clear destination does not stop until he arrives. Their unwavering discipline, guided by the clarity of their goals, allowed them to rise above skepticism, above gravity, and above the limitations of their era. They proved that when the mind sees a destination clearly, the body will find the strength to get there. Your goals must mirror the clarity and precision of such monumental achievements. Ambiguity is the enemy of discipline. It is the fog that hides the path. When you are unclear about what you want, you hesitate, and in the moment of hesitation, the weeds of fear and doubt begin to grow. Clearly defined goals act as a lens. They sharpen your focus, they energize your spirit, they ignite your determination. When you define exactly what you wish to achieve, you draw a precise map that directs your disciplined efforts, giving each step purpose and power. You are no longer just laying bricks, you are building a cathedral. This shift in perspective changes the nature of the work. The pain of labor becomes the pride of creation. You must ask yourself today with brutal honesty, what do I desire most deeply? Not what does my father want for me? Not what does society expect of me? But what do I want? What goal, if achieved, would profoundly transform my life and bring me lasting fulfillment? This question requires introspection and courage, for clarity comes only from authentic self-awareness. Most people are afraid to define their goals because they are afraid of failing. They keep their desires vague so that if they do not get them, it won't hurt as much. This is a coward's strategy. It guarantees mediocrity. You must be willing to stake your claim. You must be willing to say, "This is who I am, and this is where I am going." Identify your destination clearly, vividly, and precisely. You must engage the faculty of the imagination. Visualization is not a child's game. It is the workshop of the soul. The subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between a real experience and one that is vividly imagined. When you visualize your success as if it were already yours, when you allow yourself to experience the emotions of triumph, the gratitude of achievement, and the pride of victory, you are programming your biocomputer for success. You are creating a memory of the future. This emotional clarity is the fuel that keeps the engine of discipline running when the road gets steep. When you can feel the goal, the discipline to reach it becomes natural. It becomes a pull, not a push. You are no longer forcing yourself to work. You are being pulled toward your vision by an irresistible magnetic force. Once your goal is clear, the next step in the architecture of belief is the creation of a plan. A goal without a plan is just a dream. You must break your definite chief aim down into actionable steps. You cannot eat an elephant in one bite, and you cannot build an empire in one day. But you can lay one brick. You can make one call. You can write one page. Discipline is the art of breaking the impossible down into the manageable. It is the understanding that a great life is nothing more than a series of great days strung together like pearls on a necklace. Every day, regardless of your mood or circumstances, you must take purposeful, disciplined steps toward your objective. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where the amateur separates from the professional. The amateur waits for inspiration. The professional knows that inspiration is a byproduct of action. Discipline ensures consistency. It keeps you steadfast even when motivation wanes, when the excitement of the new beginning has faded, and the monotony of the middle sets in. Every small, disciplined action accumulates. It is the law of compound interest applied to human effort. A single workout does not change your body. A single book does not change your mind. But 1,000 workouts, 1,000 books, they create a transformation so profound it looks like magic to the outside observer. Recognize that disciplined individuals thrive on routine. Routine is not the enemy of creativity. It is the guardian of it. By automating the basics of life, you free up your mental energy for the great work. Develop daily habits that consistently move you forward. It is these daily rituals, small yet significant, that distinguish achievers from mere dreamers. Discipline means committing to these rituals whether you feel inspired or not. It means making your bed. It means arriving on time. It means saving that percentage of your income. It means studying your craft while others are watching television. These small acts of discipline are the gymnasium where you train your will. Make promises to yourself and honor those promises with the sanctity of a religious vow. If you tell yourself you will get up at 5:00 a.m. and you hit the snooze button, you have just betrayed yourself. You have taught your subconscious that your word is worthless. But if you get up, even when it is cold, even when you are tired, you have scored a victory. You have added a deposit to your account of self-confidence. Each kept promise strengthens your discipline, reinforcing your belief in your own capabilities. You begin to walk with a different posture. You begin to look people in the eye differently. You know that you are a person who does what they say. This self-trust is the foundation of all charisma and all leadership. It is also essential to recognize that discipline thrives in an environment of clarity. Ambiguous goals or unclear intentions weaken discipline. Be explicit about your objectives. Clearly delineate what success looks like. Do not say, "I will work out more." Say, "I will run 3 miles every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6:00 a.m. Precision eliminates the loophole of excuses. When the parameters are defined, the decision is made. You do not have to negotiate with yourself every day. The negotiation is over. The contract is signed. Now you simply execute. We must also speak of the environment you build around your goal. You cannot grow a tropical orchid in the Arctic tundra. You must create a climate for success. Surround yourself with like-minded, goal-oriented individuals whose disciplined attitudes inspire your own. This is the mastermind principle. If you surround yourself with people who complain, who drift, and who accept mediocrity, their gravity will pull you down. But if you surround yourself with people who are striving, who are disciplined, and who demand excellence, their energy will lift you up. Their example will bolster your resolve, and their support will fortify your determination. Learn from their successes and their setbacks alike. Ultimately, discipline coupled with clearly defined goals acts as a transmutation device. It turns the invisible energy of thought into the visible reality of material success. It transforms ordinary individuals into extraordinary achievers. The only difference between you and the idols you admire is the clarity of their vision and the consistency of their action. They are not made of different clay. They have simply shaped their clay with more intention. So, I challenge you today to become the architect of your own belief. Do not wait for someone else to hand you the blueprints of your life. If you do, you will likely be building someone else's dream, not your own. Sit down in the quiet of your room. Turn off the noise of the world. Take a blank sheet of paper and write down exactly what you want. Be bold. Be audacious. Do not edit your soul. If you want to build a business, write it down. If you want to heal your body, write it down. If you want to change the world, write it down. And then create the plan. What is the price you must pay? What is the sacrifice you must make? There is no something for nothing. Determine the price and resolve to pay it. Then begin. Start small, but start today. Do not wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is a myth created by fear to keep you paralyzed. The only moment you have is now. Identify your destination. Tomorrow, discipline your steps toward it. Continue this unwavering journey day after day, step by disciplined step, ignoring the distractions, ignoring the critics, ignoring the fatigue. Keep your eyes fixed on the lighthouse of your definite chief aim. If you do this, if you refuse to drift, if you refuse to quit, a day will come when you will look back at the person you are today and you will not recognize him. You will have been consumed by the fire of your discipline and reborn as the master of your destiny. Your goals are within your reach, awaiting only your disciplined pursuit. The universe is waiting for you to give it a clear command. It stands ready to deliver to you your heart's desire, but it demands to see your credentials. And the only credential it accepts is a definite chief aim backed by unwavering discipline. Embrace the power of clearly defined goals and watch as your disciplined commitment transforms the vapor of dreams into the concrete of lasting achievement. The architecture is in your hands. Build well. We have spoken of the invisible force of discipline, and we have drawn the blueprints of our desires with clarity and precision. But now, my friends, we must leave the safety of the harbor and sail into the storm. It is inevitable that once you set a definite chief aim and begin to move toward it with discipline, you will be met with resistance. This is not a possibility. It is a guarantee. Nature has a way of testing the strength of your resolve before she hands over her greatest rewards. We have arrived at the most misunderstood and feared aspect of the human experience, which is adversity. Most men run from adversity. They view it as a curse, a sign of bad luck, or a signal from the heavens that they should stop. But the master key of discipline unlocks a different perspective. It reveals that adversity is not a barrier, it is a crucible. It is the alchemist's fire that turns the lead of human weakness into the gold of spiritual strength. This process is what I call the alchemy of adversity. Life is inherently filled with trials, setbacks, and failures. There is no path to greatness that is a straight line. The graph of success is a jagged line of peaks and valleys. Yet to the disciplined person, these valleys are not graves, they are training grounds. Discipline shapes your perception, acting as a lens that filters out the emotional noise of defeat and allows you to see the hidden opportunity within. If you do not possess discipline, every failure will chip away at your self-confidence until you are hollow. But if you possess discipline, every failure will add a layer of armor to your soul. You must understand that the universe is efficient. It does not send you problems to annoy you. It sends you problems to prepare you. You cannot handle the weight of success if you have not built the muscles of character, and those muscles are built only through the resistance of heavy burdens. Let us look to history for the ultimate proof of this law. Let us examine the life of Abraham Lincoln. If you look at the history books, you will see Lincoln as a giant, the man who saved the Union and freed the slaves. But if you look closer, you will see a man whose life was a tapestry of heartbreak and defeat. Early in his career, Mr. Lincoln endured profound disappointments that would have shattered an ordinary man. He lost his job. He failed in business, not once, but twice, spending years of his life laboring to pay off debts that were not entirely his own. He watched his sweetheart die, plunging him into a darkness of depression so deep his friends feared for his life. He ran for public office and was defeated. He sought appointment to the United States Land Office and was rejected. He ran for the Senate and lost. He sought the vice presidency and lost. To the undisciplined observer, Lincoln was a failure. By all social metrics of his time, he was a man who could not win. But Lincoln possessed a mind disciplined by the fires of suffering. He did not allow these external events to define his internal value. He realized that defeat is only a state of mind, and nothing more, until it is accepted as a reality. Mr. Lincoln utilized each failure as a learning experience, a necessary tuition fee in the school of life. He did not ask for the burden to be lighter, he asked for his back to be broader. His disciplined mindset transformed every disappointment into fuel for persistence. He developed a patience that was superhuman. When the nation eventually tore itself apart in civil war, it was this specific capacity for suffering, this calloused resilience forged in his years of failure, that allowed him to hold the Union together. If Lincoln had succeeded easily in his youth, he would have been too soft to lead in his manhood. His adversity was the alchemy that created the president. This is the secret that the schools do not teach. Resilience, fueled by discipline, is the only currency that matters in the marketplace of life. Discipline instills in you the courage and strength to rise each time you fall. It teaches you to persevere when faced with challenges, pushing forward even when the odds seem insurmountable. Discipline ensures that temporary setbacks do not become permanent failures. Whenever adversity strikes, and it will strike, the disciplined man pauses. He does not react with emotion. He responds with reason. He reminds himself of the essential truth that setbacks are temporary. They are clouds passing across the sun. They are not the destruction of the sun. You must understand the difference between temporary defeat and failure. Temporary defeat is a detour. Failure is a dead end. The only way a temporary defeat becomes a failure is if you accept it as such in your own mind. The moment you quit, you sign the death certificate of your dream. But as long as you are moving, as long as you are learning, you have not failed. You are merely gathering data. Mr. Edison did not fail 10,000 times. He gathered 10,000 pieces of data on what does not create light. This reframing requires immense mental discipline. It is easy to feel sorry for yourself. It is easy to play the victim. It takes a master to look at the wreckage of his plans and say, "This is good. Now I know what not to do." Each difficulty carries within it a valuable lesson, a hidden opportunity designed to refine your character and sharpen your abilities. Napoleon Hill famously stated that every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. Notice he said the seed, not the fruit. The benefit is not given to you fully grown. You must find the seed in the ashes of your defeat, plant it, water it with discipline, and wait for it to grow. Most people are so busy crying over the ashes that they never look for the seed. Discipline forces you to stop crying and start digging. It forces you to look beyond the immediate pain or disappointment, seeking instead the wisdom embedded in your experiences. This approach transforms your entire perspective on life's inevitable hardship. Discipline allows you to ask crucial, empowering questions in the face of adversity. The average man asks, "Why me? Why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this?" These are disempowering questions. They put you in the role of the victim. The disciplined man asks, "What can I learn from this experience? How can this challenge strengthen me? In what ways is this preparing me for my future success?" These questions put you in the role of the student and the creator. With this disciplined mindset, you convert every difficulty into a stepping stone toward greater wisdom, strength, and success. You begin to see the silent partner, infinite intelligence, not as a punisher, but as a personal trainer, increasing the weight so you can grow stronger. To develop this powerful resilience, you must consciously choose discipline every day. You cannot wait for the crisis to happen to start training. You must train in the calm so you are ready for the storm. Establish routines and habits that fortify your spirit. When you keep your promises to yourself in small things like waking up on time or eating correctly, you are building a reservoir of self-trust. When the big crisis hits, you draw from this reservoir. If the reservoir is empty because you have been undisciplined in the small things, you will collapse under the pressure of the big things. Consistency in your actions cultivates resilience, preparing you mentally and emotionally for the inevitable difficulties you will encounter. Surround yourself with positive influences, individuals who demonstrate resilience and discipline in their own lives. We are social creatures, and courage is contagious. If you are surrounded by people who crumble at the first sign of trouble, you will likely do the same. But if you are in the company of those who have walked through the fire and survived, their example will inspire your continued commitment to overcome adversity. Read the biographies of great men and women. You will find that not one of them had an easy life. You will find that their greatness was in direct proportion to the magnitude of the obstacles they overcame. This will normalize struggle for you. You will realize that you are not being singled out for punishment. You are being initiated into the fraternity of success. Additionally, maintain clear and focused goals that keep you oriented and motivated, even in times of hardship. Goals act as a compass in the storm. When the waves are crashing over your head and you cannot tell up from down, your goal tells you which way to swim. Without a goal, pain is just pain. With a goal, pain is the price of admission. It gives meaning to the suffering. A mother in childbirth endures pain because she knows the goal is new life. An athlete endures the pain of training because he knows the goal is the championship. When you have a definite chief aim, you can endure the growing pains of becoming the person capable of achieving it. Remember always that adversity is not your enemy, but your teacher. It is the sandpaper that smooths the rough edges of your personality. It destroys your arrogance and replaces it with humility. It destroys your reliance on luck and replaces it with reliance on self. It destroys your superficial relationships and reveals who your true friends are. This stripping away process is painful, yes, but it is necessary. You cannot build a skyscraper on a foundation of sand. Adversity digs down to the bedrock of your soul, so you can build something that lasts. As you master this practice of alchemizing pain into power, you will find setbacks becoming setups for your most remarkable triumphs. You will stop fearing the future, because you know that whatever comes, you have the internal tools to handle it. In essence, discipline grants you the power to rewrite your narrative. You are no longer the character in the story who things happen to. You are the hero of the story who makes things happen despite the odds. No longer defined by failures or hindered by setbacks, you become a disciplined individual who sees opportunity in every challenge. Let us go deeper into the mechanism of this alchemy. How does one actually do it in the moment of despair? It begins with the discipline of the pause. When disaster strikes, the biological reaction is to panic, to flee, or to freeze. The disciplined man overrides this biology. He forces himself to pause. He breathes. He creates a space between the stimulus and the response. In that space, he chooses his attitude. He says to himself, "I did not choose this event, but I choose my response to it." This assertion of choice is the spark of alchemy. It shifts the energy from helpless to helpful. Then, he engages the discipline of analysis. He looks at the failure dispassionately, like a scientist looking at a petri dish. He does not attach his ego to the result. He asks, what was the cause? Was it a lack of planning? Was it a lack of skill? Was it an error in judgment? He identifies the variable. He takes responsibility. He does not blame the market, the government, or his spouse. He owns the result. By owning it, he gains the power to change it. If the cause was outside of him, he is a victim. If the cause is within him, he is a master in training. Finally, he engages the discipline of action. He does not wait to feel better. He acts his way into a new feeling. He takes the very next step, no matter how small. If his business burned down, he picks up a broom. If he lost the election, he writes a thank you note to his supporters. Action clears the fog of depression. It tells the subconscious mind that we are still in the game. It signals to the universe that we are not defeated. The alchemy of adversity also teaches us the value of the dip. In any worthy endeavor, there is a moment after the initial excitement fades and before the success is achieved where things get hard, very hard. This is the dip. The drifter sees the dip as a signal to quit. The disciplined master knows that the dip is the barrier to entry that keeps the competition out. If it were easy, everyone would do it. The fact that it is hard, the fact that it hurts, means that you are doing something valuable. The scarcity of success is created by the difficulty of the journey. Embrace the difficulty, for it is protecting your future reward from the masses who are unwilling to pay the price. So, my friends, I urge you to look at the problems in your life right now with new eyes. Do not wish them away. Do not resent them. Look at them as raw material. Look at that financial struggle and see the discipline of budgeting and the hunger for innovation it is teaching you. Look at that relationship struggle and see the patience and communication skills it is forcing you to learn. Look at that health struggle and see the appreciation for vitality it is instilling in you. You are an alchemist. Your life is the laboratory. Your discipline is the fire. And your adversity is the lead waiting to be turned into gold. Embrace discipline wholeheartedly. Let it strengthen your resolve, deepen your resilience, and guide you consistently towards success. Through discipline, life's challenges become transformative experiences, turning each setback into a vital step toward your ultimate achievement. Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. For it is in the endurance, in the struggle, and in the rising after the fall, that the human spirit reveals its divinity. The gold is not at the end of the rainbow. The gold is forged in the fire of the journey. Stand firm, hold the line, and let the alchemy begin. Before we move on to igniting the fuel of passion, pause for a moment. If you are seeing yourself in the story of Lincoln, if you are currently standing in the fire of adversity, know that you are not alone. You are simply being forged. If you are committed to turning your struggles into strength, I invite you to join our fraternity of conquerors right now. Click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. By doing so, you are signaling to your subconscious that you are a student of resilience, not a victim of circumstance. Do not walk this path alone. Join us, and let us continue to the engine room of the soul. We have discussed the invisible force of discipline, the architecture of clarity, and the alchemy of adversity. But now we must address the engine room of the human soul. A machine may be perfectly designed, its gears oiled, and its direction set, but without fuel, it is merely a statue of cold metal. In the machinery of human achievement, discipline is the gears, but passion and self-belief are the fire that drives the piston. Many men try to be disciplined through sheer force of will, grinding their teeth and forcing themselves to perform tasks they despise. They treat themselves like beasts of burden, whipped into submission by the demand for survival. This is a tragedy, and it is unsustainable. True discipline, the kind that lasts for decades and builds empires, is not cold. It is white-hot. It is fueled by an unshakable belief in oneself and a burning passion for one's purpose. We must now explore how to ignite this fuel, for without it, your journey to greatness will end in the graveyard of exhaustion. It has been my life's experience, After analyzing the most successful men and women of the century, that no man may rise beyond the level of his belief in himself. Self-belief is not merely a pleasing sentiment or a slogan to be printed on a poster. It is the very cornerstone upon which all enduring success is built. Before one can command others, before one can command capital, before one can command circumstances, he must first command his own mind. And that command begins with the absolute, irrevocable decree that he is capable, deserving, and destined to achieve. The universe is a mirror. It reflects back to you exactly what you project into it. If you project doubt, the universe gives you reasons to doubt. If you project weakness, the universe gives you oppression. But if you project a supreme confidence, a belief that transcends the visible evidence, the universe bends to accommodate that belief. Consider the psychology of the upper limit. Every person has an internal thermostat of what they believe they deserve. If you believe you are worth $30,000 a year, and you suddenly earn $50,000, your subconscious mind will become uncomfortable. It will perceive this success as a mistake, a violation of your internal reality. You will unknowingly self-sabotage, waste the money, or lose the opportunity until you are back down to the level of your belief. Discipline alone cannot override this thermostat. You must change the setting. You must expand the container of your belief before you can fill it with the riches of life. Let us look again at Thomas Alva Edison, not just as an inventor, but as a master of belief. When he was working on the electric light, he met with failure thousands of times. His associates were discouraged. The scientific community was skeptical. The money was running out. But Edison possessed a belief that was impervious to facts. To the logical mind, the facts said impossible. To Edison's believing mind, the facts were merely temporary obstacles. He did not hope he would succeed, he knew it. He operated from the assumption of success. This is a profound distinction. Most people work towards success, hoping to find it. The master works from success, knowing it is already inevitable. Edison maintained within himself a vision so vibrant, a faith so absolute, that even the darkness of 10,000 failures could not extinguish it. That is the power of self-belief. It is the ability to see the oak tree when you are holding only an acorn. Discipline, you must understand, is the faithful servant of belief. Belief is the architect. Discipline is the builder. Without discipline, belief is but a castle in the clouds, a fantasy that comforts but does not nourish. And without belief, discipline has no direction. It is merely hard labor in a prison yard. The two must walk hand in hand. Mr. Edison did not merely believe in success. He disciplined himself daily to pursue it. He ordered his life, his thoughts, and his actions in accordance with that belief. He worked tirelessly, methodically, and with purpose. Every hour of effort was a brick laid by the hands of discipline upon the foundation of belief. And so it must be with you. You must begin first, and always, with the reconstruction of your belief system. You must say to yourself each day, not idly, but with the conviction of a judge passing a sentence, I am capable, I am worthy, I will succeed. This is not arrogance. Arrogance is noise used to cover up insecurity. True self-belief is quiet. It is a calm certainty. It is the mountain that does not need to tell the wind how strong it is. Let no man, no circumstance, and no failure convince you otherwise. Doubt is a thief. It is the most dangerous criminal in the world because it steals not your money but your future. It steals your initiative. Therefore, guard your mind as you would a treasure vault. If a thief tried to enter your home to steal your possessions, you would fight him. Yet you allow the thief of doubt to enter your mind and steal your dreams without a struggle. Reject all thoughts of inferiority. Replace them at once with affirmations of strength, purpose, and ability. You must train your mind as a soldier trains for war, with focus, with repetition, and with discipline. Your thoughts become your beliefs. Your beliefs become your actions. Your actions become your destiny. But belief alone is not enough. It must be warmed by the fire of passion. In the grand pursuit of success, many men search for secrets in strange places, as if triumph were hidden behind locked doors known only to the fortunate few. But I have learned that one of the most potent truths lies not in obscurity but in plain sight. Your passion is your purpose, and from that purpose springs a well of discipline so deep, so enduring that it can carry you through the harshest trials and into the highest realms of achievement. Let us examine the tragic and triumphant life of Ludwig van Beethoven. He is one of the greatest composers to ever grace this earth. His music is the language of the divine. Yet, in the midst of his ascent to musical immortality, fate dealt him what many would consider a final, crushing blow, the loss of his hearing. For a musician, hearing is everything. It is his connection to his art. To lose it is a tragedy beyond words. A man without passion would have quit. A man without belief would have withered into silence. But for Beethoven, silence was not an end. In fact, it marked the beginning of his most transcendent creations. How did he continue? How did he compose the Ninth Symphony, a masterpiece of choral complexity, when he could not hear a single note played by the orchestra? The answer is found in one word: passion. Beethoven's passion for music was not a preference, it was not a hobby. It was his obsession. It was the air he breathed. It lived in his soul, not in his ears. It commanded his spirit. That passion fueled his discipline. He did not need a boss to tell him to work. He did not need a motivational speech to get him to the piano. He was driven by a demonic urge to express the music that was thundering inside his head. His was not a rigid discipline born of duty, but a natural, joyful pursuit of expression. You see, when a man discovers his passion, discipline ceases to be a weight. It becomes wings. The world often speaks of discipline as sacrifice, as suffering, as painful persistence. But this is only true when one is walking a path not his own. When a man hates his job, discipline is torture. Every minute feels like an hour. But when your path is lit by passion, the effort required to stay upon it no longer feels like labor. It becomes something sacred. It becomes devotion. The mother who stays up all night with a sick child does not call it discipline, she calls it love. The artist who paints until his fingers cramp does not call it work, he calls it life. I have sat with many men, rich and poor, powerful and struggling. Those who succeed with peace in their hearts are those who found alignment between their inner calling and their outer efforts. They did not merely work hard, they worked with love. That love, that passion, makes discipline effortless. It transforms the grind into grace. It allows you to endure the long period of struggle before the breakthrough, because you love the process itself, not just the result. Ask yourself today, and listen closely to the answer. What is it that stirs your spirit? What would you do even if the world neither applauded nor rewarded you? What is the thing that makes you lose track of time? For in that answer lies the seed of your destiny. Once that seed is planted, it is your duty to nourish it daily with discipline. Discipline, when fueled by passion, becomes rhythmic. It is the musician rising each morning to practice his scales, not because he must, but because he cannot bear not to. It is the inventor hunched over sketches at midnight, not out of compulsion, but out of compulsion's opposite, devotion. If you feel tired all the time, if you feel lost, if you dread Monday mornings, the problem may not be your lack of discipline. The problem may be your lack of connection to your passion. You are trying to run a car on water instead of gasoline. You are misaligned. Realign, reconnect, rediscover the fire that once made time vanish and made effort feel effortless. And when you find it, organize your life around it. Let your mornings be sacred time for your purpose. Let your habits form in service of your calling. Some of you may say, "But Mr. Hill, I cannot pay my bills with my passion." To this I say, you have not yet applied enough discipline to your passion to turn it into a service. Passion alone is just a feeling. Passion combined with discipline and specialized knowledge becomes value, and value is always rewarded. You may have to work your job by day to feed your body, but you must work on your passion by night to feed your soul. Eventually, if you persist, the passion will overtake the job. Passion also serves another critical function. It generates energy. We think of energy as physical, derived from food and sleep. But there is a psychic energy, a spiritual vitality that comes from enthusiasm. The word enthusiasm comes from the Greek entheos, meaning God within. When you are enthusiastic, when you are passionate, you are channeling the divine energy of the Creator. This is why the passionate man can outwork the bored man 10 to 1. He is plugged into a different power source. He is not running on his own limited reserves. He is running on the infinite current of the universe. Furthermore, passion creates magnetism. A man with a burning desire and a belief in his cause attracts people. We are drawn to fire, we are drawn to certainty. If you are lukewarm about your product, your service, or your life, the world will be lukewarm to you. But if you are on fire, the world will come to watch you burn. Investors back passionate founders. Customers buy from passionate salespeople. Followers follow passionate leaders. Belief and passion are the ultimate persuasion tools. You cannot convince another person of your value until you have convinced yourself. However, a warning is necessary. Passion without discipline is a wildfire. It burns bright and hot, but it destroys. It is erratic. It starts many things but finishes nothing. We all know people who are incredibly passionate for a week, and then they lose interest. They are starters, not finishers. This is why discipline is the master key. Discipline harnesses the fire. It builds the engine around the explosion so that the energy is directed into forward motion. Belief provides the spark. Passion provides the expansion. Discipline provides the transmission. You need all three to move the vehicle of your life. You must also understand that belief is not a static state. It is a living thing. It must be fed. You feed your belief through the process of autosuggestion, which we have discussed, but also through the evidence of small wins. This is why you must set small goals and achieve them. Every time you do what you said you would do, you deposit a coin into the bank of self-belief. Eventually, you have enough equity to make a massive investment, to take a risk, to launch a venture, to change the world. But you cannot start with the massive risk if your bank account of self-belief is empty. Do not look at the successful man and envy his confidence. His confidence was bought with the currency of disciplined action over many years. He believes he can do it because he has done it 1,000 times before in the dark when no one was watching. You must be willing to go into the dark. You must be willing to work without applause. You must be willing to hold the vision when the mirror shows you nothing but failure. This is the test of the master. Can you believe in the harvest when you are standing in a field of mud in the middle of winter? The farmer can. The farmer has the discipline to plow and plant because he has the belief in the law of the harvest. He knows that if he does his part, nature will do hers. You must have the faith of the farmer. You must plow your field with discipline. You must plant your seeds of passion. And you must trust, with absolute certainty, that the crop will come. So I urge you, look inward. Examine the fuel tank of your soul. Is it empty? Are you running on fumes? If so, stop pushing the car. Stop grinding the gears. Go back to the source. Find the thing that makes you come alive. Find the belief that says, I am here for a reason. Ignite that fire. And then, apply the iron grip of discipline to that flame. Direct it, focus it. Sustain it. When you do this, you will no longer have to force yourself to work. You will be pulled by a vision so compelling that obstacles will melt before you. You will possess the magic that the world envies. But you will know it is not magic. It is the natural consequence of alignment. It is the power of a human soul set on fire by purpose and guided by the master key of discipline. Believe in yourself with all the intensity your soul can muster. Discipline yourself as if your dreams depended on it, because they do. And know this truth. When belief and discipline unite, no ambition will ever be beyond your grasp. We have ignited the fire of passion and fortified the will with the iron of belief. But now we must address the vessel that holds these treasures. We must speak of the mind itself. If discipline is the key and passion is the fuel, then the mind is the engine that converts energy into motion. However, an engine that is never serviced, never upgraded, and never oiled will eventually seize up and rust. In the human experience, this rusting is called stagnation. It is the silent killer of potential. To avoid this fate, we must cultivate the habits of lifelong learning. We must understand that the mind is not a warehouse to be filled with facts and then locked away. It is a living garden that must be cultivated daily. If you do not plant the seeds of wisdom and water them with the discipline of study, the weeds of ignorance, fear, and superstition will grow automatically. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you are not actively planting flowers, you are passively growing weeds. This is the law of the mental garden. Let us consider the life of Benjamin Franklin, one of the supreme architects of the American spirit. He was born into modest means, the son of a candlemaker, with no formal education beyond the age of 10. By all statistical measures of his time, he should have remained a tradesman, living an obscure life and dying an obscure death. Yet he rose to become a world-renowned scientist, a diplomat who charmed kings, a writer who shaped the consciousness of a nation, and a philosopher whose wisdom echoes through the centuries. How did he bridge the gap between the candle shop and the royal courts of Europe? He did it through the rigorous, relentless discipline of self-education. He understood early that formal schooling is merely the learning of how to learn, but self-education is the learning of how to live. Mr. Franklin viewed his mind as a project under perpetual construction. He did not accept his character or his intellect as fixed assets. He developed a daily regimen that included reading, writing, reflection, and experimentation. He was as meticulous in shaping his mind as a sculptor is in chiseling stone. He famously tracked 13 virtues, focusing on one each week, marking his faults in a little book, striving constantly for moral and intellectual perfection. He carried books wherever he went. He studied languages in his spare time. He examined the natural world with unrelenting curiosity. He founded the Junto, a club for mutual improvement, because he understood that iron sharpens iron. What Mr. Franklin understood, and what every successful person must realize, is that knowledge is not a destination, it is a horizon. As you move toward it, it moves further away, inviting you to keep walking. The moment you think you have arrived, the moment you think you know enough, you begin to slide backward. There is a dangerous illusion that plagues the modern world. It is the illusion that education ends when one receives a diploma. This is a fatal error. The graduation ceremony is called a commencement for a reason. It is a beginning, not an ending. In the University of Life, there are no graduates, only students. The man who relies on the knowledge he gained 10 years ago is fighting today's battles with yesterday's weapons. He is obsolete, and he does not even know it. The world is dynamic, alive, and ever-evolving. New industries rise, old industries fall, new technologies emerge, and new philosophies challenge old assumptions. If one wishes to remain sharp, relevant, and effective, he must meet this movement with equal energy. But such growth does not happen by accident. It happens by discipline. Lifelong learning requires consistency. One must form the habit of learning as one forms the habit of breathing naturally, instinctively, daily. It matters not whether you are a teacher, a merchant, a farmer, or a financier. The moment you stop learning, you begin to decline. Your thoughts grow stale, your skills dull, and your potential narrows. Discipline is what keeps the mind alive. Learning is not an event. It is not a weekend seminar, a one-time course, or a sudden burst of inspiration. Growth occurs in increments, not leaps. And it is discipline that ensures each step, each lesson, each bit of progress builds upon the last. Like compound interest in finance, the compound interest of knowledge is the most powerful force in the universe. A single fact learned today may seem insignificant, but when added to the thousands of facts learned over a lifetime, it creates a web of wisdom that allows you to see solutions where others see only problems. You must commit to learning something new every day. Not just when it is convenient, not just when inspiration strikes, but every single day. Set aside time to read a book that challenges your thinking. Listen to a lecture from a mind greater than your own. Study a concept that is outside your field of expertise. Keep a journal of your insights. Writing is the sharpening stone of thought. You do not truly know what you think until you try to write it down. Test what you learn through action. Knowledge without application is merely data. Wisdom is knowledge applied. Do not be satisfied with being a walking encyclopedia. Seek understanding, and then apply that understanding in service of your definite chief aim. Let us address the concept of specialized knowledge. Napoleon Hill taught that general knowledge, no matter how great in quantity, is of but little use in the accumulation of money. The faculties of the great universities possess most of the general knowledge known to civilization, yet most of the professors have little money. They specialize in teaching knowledge, but they do not specialize in the organization or the use of knowledge. To become a master, you must acquire specialized knowledge related to your purpose. You must become the expert. You must know your business better than anyone else. If you are a salesman, you must study the psychology of persuasion until you are a master. If you are a builder, you must understand materials and engineering better than the architect. This depth of knowledge creates confidence. It creates value. And value is the magnet that attracts wealth. The disciplined mind also understands the necessity of adaptability. We live in a world of constant flux. The great constant of life is change. It arrives without warning, reshaping the landscape of our lives, businesses, and fortunes. Yet while many fear it, resist it, and are undone by it, the wise man welcomes it, not because it is easy, but because he has trained himself to be adaptable through discipline. Let us reflect on the economic upheavals of history. Old industries faltered, new markets emerged, and countless individuals found their way of life shaken to the core. But amidst the chaos, a handful of visionaries saw what others could not: opportunity. They adapted swiftly, pivoted with purpose, and positioned themselves not as victims of change, but as beneficiaries of it. What separated these pioneers from the masses was not luck. It was disciplined adaptability. They had trained their minds to remain calm under pressure, their eyes to scan the horizon for possibility, and their habits to respond swiftly and strategically. Understand this: change is not your enemy. Resistance to change is. The man who clings to yesterday will be buried by tomorrow. But the man who disciplines himself to remain flexible, to evolve with purpose, to respond instead of react, that man will rise above the storm. Adaptability is not chaos. It is the art of maintaining your purpose while adjusting your methods. It is the power to stay grounded while shifting your stance. The disciplined mind does not demand that the world conform to it. Instead, it prepares itself to meet the world as it is and shape it into what it can become. You must cultivate this quality. Build your adaptability like a muscle. Stretch yourself beyond your comfort zone. If you are a master of one trade, learn another. If you have always held one opinion, study the opposing view. This mental flexibility prevents you from becoming brittle. The oak tree is strong, but it breaks in the hurricane. The bamboo is flexible. It bends to the ground and snaps back up when the wind passes. Be the bamboo. You must also guard the inputs of your mind with the ferocity of a sentry. The average person's mind is a public dumping ground. They allow the newspapers, the gossip, the scandals, and the fears of the world to be dumped into their consciousness without filter. They consume mental junk food all day and wonder why their mental health is poor. The disciplined learner is a gourmet of thought. He chooses his mental diet with care. He reads the classics. He studies the biographies of the great. He listens to music that elevates the spirit. He engages in conversations that challenge the intellect. He knows that he becomes what he thinks about, so he chooses to think about greatness. There is a profound connection between learning and humility. The more you learn, the more you realize how little you know. This is the mark of true wisdom. The fool thinks he knows everything. The master knows he is a student. This humility keeps you open. It keeps you hungry. It prevents the calcification of the ego. When you approach every person you meet as a potential teacher, you unlock the world. The janitor can teach you about dignity. The child can teach you about wonder. The failure can teach you about caution. The enemy can teach you about your own weaknesses. But you must have the discipline to listen. Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. The disciplined mind listens to learn. We must also speak of the mastermind as a tool for learning. You cannot learn everything by yourself. Life is too short. You must tap into the experience and education of others. This is why you must surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. If you are the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room. Find a circle of associates who challenge you, who expose you to new ideas, who hold you to a higher standard. Discussing ideas with disciplined minds creates a third mind, a collective intelligence that is far superior to any single mind. This is how Henry Ford, with his limited education, mastered the industrial world. He did not know all the answers, but he knew the men who did. Consider the concept of mental chewing. It is not enough to simply read a book or hear a lecture. You must digest it. You must turn it over in your mind. You must ask, how does this apply to my life? How can I use this to further my chief aim? One book read and applied is worth 1,000 books read and forgotten. The disciplined learner does not race through books to say he has read them. He reads to become. He reads to change his behavior. If you read a book on success and you do not change your daily habits, you have not read the book. You have merely recognized the words. In this garden of the mind, you must also practice the discipline of weeding. You must regularly examine your beliefs and assumptions. Are they still true? Are they serving you? Or are they weeds planted by your childhood, your parents, or society? Many of us are operating on outdated software. We hold beliefs about money, about relationships, and about ourselves that are false and limiting. The disciplined mind is not afraid to pull up a cherished belief if it proves to be a weed. This requires courage. It requires the willingness to admit you were wrong. But the prize is a mind that is clear, fertile, and ready for the seeds of greatness. Let us not forget the role of imagination in learning. Knowledge is the accumulation of facts, but imagination is the synthesis of those facts into new forms. The disciplined mind uses knowledge as the raw material for imagination. It asks what if. It combines old ideas to create new inventions. It sees the potential in the actual. When you discipline your mind to learn, you are stocking the shelves of your imagination with the highest quality materials. You are giving your creative faculty more to work with. Ultimately, the habit of lifelong learning is an act of self-love and self-respect. It is the refusal to let your potential wither. It is the declaration that you are a being of infinite capacity. When you commit to growing every day, you are aligning yourself with the cosmic imperative of evolution. You are saying yes to life, and in return, life rewards you. It rewards you with relevance. It rewards you with wealth. It rewards you with the deep, abiding satisfaction of knowing that you are using your gifts to the fullest. So, I urge you, cultivate a daily discipline of learning. Make your mind a garden, and feed it with knowledge, curiosity, and humility. Do not let a single day pass without acquiring a new nugget of truth. Carry a book instead of a phone. Ask a question instead of making a statement. Seek the company of the wise. And remember, the harvest of this garden is not just for you. The fruit of your wisdom is meant to be shared. By becoming a better version of yourself, you elevate the entire human race. Success is not a final destination where you sit down and rest. Success is a journey of continuous expansion. The horizon is calling. The books are waiting. The lessons are abundant. Open your mind, discipline your curiosity, and let the garden grow. We have traveled a long road together through the landscape of the mind. We have discovered the invisible force of discipline. We have drawn the blueprints of our belief. We have learned to alchemize our adversity. We have ignited the fuel of passion, and we have planted the seeds of wisdom in the garden of the mind. We have built a magnificent machine capable of conquering any obstacle and achieving any desire. But now, we stand at the most critical juncture of all. A machine, no matter how perfectly designed, no matter how powerful its engine or how clear its destination, is utterly useless if it remains in the garage. The potential for greatness is not greatness itself. Potential is merely stored energy. To release that energy, to transform the invisible into the visible, requires the final and most difficult turn of the master key. That turn is action. It is easy to dream. It is easy to plan. It is easy to sit in the comfort of your home and visualize a better future. The world is full of brilliant dreamers who die as failures. The graveyards are filled with inventions that were never built, books that were never written, and songs that were never sung. Why? Because these individuals lacked the discipline of action. They fell victim to the most insidious disease of the human spirit, a disease that kills more dreams than lack of talent ever could. That disease is procrastination. Procrastination is not merely laziness, it is a form of arrogance. It is the arrogant belief that God has promised you a tomorrow. It is the belief that you have time to waste. But I tell you, With the urgency of a man who has watched the sands of time slip through the fingers of thousands, you do not have time. The clock is ticking. Every second that passes is a piece of your life that is gone forever, never to be retrieved. We must dissect the anatomy of procrastination to defeat it. Procrastination is the twin sister of fear. It is the voice in your head that says, "Not yet. Wait until you are ready. Wait until the economy is better. Wait until you have more money." It disguises itself as prudence. It disguises itself as preparation. But it is a lie. You will never be ready. There is no such thing as the perfect time. The conditions will never be just right. If you wait for the lights to turn green before you leave your driveway, you will never leave home. The disciplined man understands that action must precede the feeling of readiness. You do not think your way into a new way of acting. You act your way into a new way of thinking. Motion creates emotion. When you take the first step, even if your legs are trembling, you send a shockwave through your nervous system that shatters the paralysis of fear. Consider the legacy of Andrew Carnegie, the man who rose from a bobbin boy earning pennies to become the steel king of the world and the richest man of his time. Mr. Carnegie was not a man of hesitation. When an opportunity presented itself, he seized it with the grip of a bulldog. He did not ask for permission. He did not form a committee to study the feasibility of success. He acted. He understood that speed is a weapon. In the time the average man takes to make up his mind, the master has already completed the task. Mr. Carnegie's discipline was not just in his work ethic, it was in his decision-making. He reached decisions promptly and changed them slowly, if at all. The drifter reaches decisions very slowly and changes them quickly and often. This decisiveness is the hallmark of leadership. Look at your own life. How many hours, how many days, how many years have you wasted in the purgatory of indecision? You debate with yourself. You weigh the pros and cons until you are exhausted. This internal debate drains your energy more than the actual work would. It is a leak in your fuel tank. Discipline plugs that leak. It forces you to choose. A wrong decision is better than no decision, for a wrong decision provides feedback and allows for correction, whereas indecision provides nothing but stagnation. You must train yourself to be a man or woman of action. When the idea strikes, move on it. Do not let it cool. Ideas are like fresh bread. They are delicious when hot, but stale and useless if left too long. We must also address the myth of motivation. The amateur waits for motivation to strike. He waits to feel inspired. He treats his work like a hobby that he only engages in when the mood is right. The professional, the disciplined master, knows that motivation is a fickle lover. She is rarely there when you need her most. You cannot build an empire on the foundation of a mood. You must build it on the foundation of a habit. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. I repeat, whether you feel like it or not. This is the great separator. Can you perform when you are tired? Can you perform when you are sad? Can you perform when you are afraid? The market does not care about your feelings. It cares about your value. And value is created by consistent execution. Action is also the cure for fear. Inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, do not sit home and think about it. Go out and get busy. If you are afraid of making sales calls, make 20 calls in a row. By the 20th call, your fear will be gone, replaced by the rhythm of action. If you are afraid of public speaking, sign up for a speech tomorrow. Face the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. The drifter avoids the thing he fears, and thus remains a slave to it. The disciplined man runs toward the roar of the lion, knowing that often the lion is just a shadow. Let us speak of the quality of action. It is not enough to simply be busy. One can be busy running in circles. We are talking about disciplined, purposeful action directed toward your definite chief aim. And within this action, there is a secret principle that accelerates success. It is the principle of going the extra mile. This means rendering more service and better service than you are paid for, and doing so with a positive mental attitude. The man who does only what he is paid to do is a slave to his wage. He has no leverage. But the man who delivers more value than is expected puts the universe in his debt. The law of compensation dictates that this excess value must return to him, often multiplied. It returns in the form of reputation, opportunity, and increased wealth. Andrew Carnegie paid his men well, but he promoted only those who went the extra mile. He knew that the spirit of doing more is the spirit of the master. But why do we do all this? Why the early mornings? Why the late nights? Why the struggle? Is it just to accumulate cold metal coins? Is it just to have a larger house than our neighbor? If that is your only motivation, your discipline will eventually crack, because the ego is a shallow fuel source. We must elevate our vision to the highest level of discipline, which is the discipline of legacy. True success is not measured by what you get, it is measured by what you give. It is measured by the footprint you leave on the sands of time. A life lived only for the self is a small life. It is a box that contains only one person. But a life lived for others, a life dedicated to a mission larger than oneself, is infinite. This brings us to the example of Mother Teresa. Here was a woman who possessed a discipline that rivaled any industrialist. She did not seek money. She did not seek fame. She sought to serve the poorest of the poor. She disciplined herself to see the face of the divine in the lepers and the dying. Her discipline was a discipline of love. She built an organization that spanned the globe, not with capital, but with character. You may say, but I am not Mother Teresa. I am a businessman. I am a student. The principle remains the same. Your work, whatever it is your vehicle for service. If you bake bread, bake it with the discipline of a master, so that those who eat it are nourished. If you build houses, build them with the discipline of integrity, so that those who live in them are safe. If you lead a company, lead with the discipline of fairness, so that your employees prosper. When you view your work as a contribution to humanity, your discipline takes on a spiritual quality. You are no longer just grinding, you are serving. And service is the highest calling of the human soul. Legacy is what remains when you are gone. We are all writing our eulogy every single day. The pen is in your hand. The ink is your action. What will the page say? Will it say that you were a drifter? Will it say that you were afraid? Will it say that you took more than you gave? Or will it say that you were a man or woman of discipline? Will it say that you faced your fears? Will it say that you left the world a little better, a little brighter, a little richer than you found it? You are building your monument right now. Do not build it with the straw of excuses. Build it with the granite of disciplined action. The concept of the master key is not a metaphor. It is a reality. You are holding it. But a key cannot turn itself. You must provide the torque. That torque is your will. You must decide right now in this moment that you are done drifting. You must decide that you are done negotiating with your potential. You must declare a total war on procrastination. Burn the bridges of retreat. Tell yourself, I will do this, or I will die trying. When you have that level of resolve, the universe steps aside. The obstacles that look like mountains turn into molehills. The critics who laughed at you fall silent in the face of your results. Let us visualize the timeline of your life. Imagine a long line. On one end is your birth, on the other end is your death. Somewhere in the middle is today. You do not know how close today is to the end. It could be 50 years, it could be 50 minutes. This uncertainty should not frighten you. It should liberate you. It should make you fierce. It should make you jealous of your time. Do not spend your precious hours on trivialities. Do not spend them on anger. Do not spend them on cheap entertainment that numbs your mind. Spend them on your purpose. Spend them on your passion. Spend them on building your legacy. There is a cosmic habit force that governs the universe. It says that whatever you do repeatedly becomes your nature. If you repeatedly procrastinate, you become a procrastinator. It becomes your identity. But if you repeatedly act, if you repeatedly discipline yourself to do the hard thing, you become a master. You can change your nature. You can rewrite your genetic code through the power of habit. But you must start. The rocket ship uses 80% of its fuel just to get off the ground. The start is the hardest part. You are on the launch pad right now. The gravity of your old life is pulling you down. You need to apply maximum thrust. You need to push with everything you have. Do not give it a half effort. Give it everything. Break the orbit of mediocrity. Once you are in motion, physics takes over. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. It gets easier. The discipline that feels heavy today will feel light tomorrow. The habits that are hard to form will become hard to break. You will eventually reach a point where it is harder to be lazy than it is to be productive. That is the promised land of the disciplined mind. That is where the master lives. He flows, he creates, he achieves, and he does it with a smile, because he is functioning in accordance with his highest design. So, my friends, the lecture is ending, but your work is just beginning. Do not let these words be mere entertainment. Do not let them fade like a dream upon waking. Seize them, grapple with them, apply them, look at your to-do list, the one you have been ignoring. Pick the hardest item, the one that scares you, and do it. Right now, not after a cup of coffee, not after you check the news. Now, that single act of defiance against your lethargy is the spark that can light a forest fire of transformation. You have the potential of a Ford, an Edison, a Carnegie, a Mother Teresa within you. It is sleeping. It is waiting for the command. Discipline is the voice that wakes the giant. Wake him up. The world needs you. It needs your talent. It needs your vision. It needs your light. Do not hide it under the bushel of fear. Set it on the hill of action. As we conclude, remember that the master key of discipline opens all doors, but it locks one door forever, the door to regret. The disciplined man has no regrets. He may have failures, yes. He may have scars, yes, but he has no regrets. He knows he gave his all. He knows he left nothing on the table. He knows he lived, and when the end comes, he can look back at the tapestry of his life and say, I built that. I earned that. I gave that. That is the peace that passes all understanding. The choice is yours. It has always been yours. The key is in your hand. It is cold. It is heavy. It is real. Turn it. Open the door. Step through and begin. My friends, the wisdom of the ages has been laid before you, but wisdom without action is merely a burden. You now possess the master key. The question is, will you use it? If this message has stirred the sleeping giant within your soul, do not let this feeling pass. Capture it. Make a decision right now to leave the ranks of the drifters and join the ranks of the masters. Subscribe to this channel, not just to watch, but to commit. By clicking that button, you are signaling to your subconscious that you are a student of greatness. Share this video with one person you care about. Be the catalyst for their awakening. And finally, look at the video on your screen now. It is your next step in this curriculum of success. Do not stop here. Keep moving, keep climbing, keep building. The world is waiting for your legacy. Go and be great.